Welcome to the Ohio Technical Center's podcast, where we explore the latest trends, insights, and success stories in Ohio career and technical education. I'm your host, Rachel Mann, and today we have a special guest joining us, Lori Smith. Lori is the Marketing and Recruiting Specialist at the Washington County Career Center Adult Technical Training, where she has been making a significant impact since 2011. Lori, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
Well, we are excited to have you. And Lori, you have been instrumental in transforming the Washington County Career Center's outreach efforts. Can you start by telling us about your work and the Washington County Career Center Adult Training?
Absolutely. So, back in 2011, I was approached by our director, who wasn't my director at the time because I didn't work for the Career Center. But he approached and said, "Hey, I want to make a new position. I want to do something for adult technical training where we have an opportunity to get out into the community and tell the community about what we do and what we offer." And he asked if I would be available and interested in being a part of that. So it's kind of exciting that when I got hired, I was the first person to ever do this for adult technical training. And you'll find out in adult technical training centers throughout the state of Ohio, most of them share their recruiting and marketing with their high school. With ours here in Washington County, it is a focus that is solely on adult technical training. So I was very honored to be able to do it. And it's been something that I've just been passionate about ever since. So, adult technical training, we offer short term training to the residents of Ohio. And then also something that's kind of unique is we're in Marietta, Ohio, which is right on the Ohio River, which means we're on the West Virginia border as well. So while we're part of the Ohio Technical Centers, we also serve residents of West Virginia and Ohio. So that makes us a little bit different.
And can you tell us about the collaboration between the Washington County Career Center Adult Technical Training and the Washington County Ohio Means Jobs Center and how the partnership began?
All of the career centers in the state of Ohio, we all work with our Ohio Means Jobs Center. Our Ohio Means Jobs has something called WIO, and it helps dislocated workers, it helps upskill. So there's always been a partnership there. But what we decided was after COVID, and we hear COVID all the time, COVID changed everything. But after COVID, we noticed our enrollment was going down at our Ohio Means Job Center, that even their walk-ins and their phone calls were going down, that people weren't coming back into jobs, they weren't coming out of their houses. So we kind of started to get together going, what can we do? What can we do to go out and inform the community what's available to them? But also something that was a little bit different is how can we get into schools and let these students know, and this is as early as grade school. It doesn't necessarily have to be high school students that are seniors and getting ready to transition into a college or training or apprenticeships or military. But how can we let them know what's available to them right here in the mid Ohio Valley? So we put our heads together and we just came up with some really neat, cool ideas, and it has been beyond successful.
I absolutely love that you're starting in elementary schools because it's so important for young people to start seeing themselves in a career at a young age and at every stage to know what's out there, what's available. That's fantastic.
As we talk about young people, what we're finding out is that these kids, and it's starting in elementary schools, that they're hearing the only pathway to success is a 4-year college. And I mean, we'll just have to be honest. I mean, that's kind of what society has been telling them now for decades, that that's their only pathway. And I was really impressed with our Ohio Means Job Center that said, "Hey, we're going to get with you because there's jobs and there's careers in our area that don't need a 4-year degree. What they need is credentials or certifications or specific training that'll give them the skills and lead to good paying jobs And we don't wanna lose our young people. I don't think that there's any town or city that does. We want them to stay here. We want them to stay here in Washington County and our surrounding counties and be a part of our community and our business community. So to have our Ohio Means Jobs be on that same page with us was just beyond successful. And one of the things that we did is we joined together with an organization called Jason Learning and Ohio Means Jobs and us, the Washington County Career Center Adult Technical Training. And we took some of our training trailers that we had been using for customized training that goes out to plants and businesses, and we wrapped them to make them vibrant. And we loaded them with interactive equipment. And now we all get together as groups and go out to these schools and bring these students on board these trailers and let them explore all the possibilities that they have.
How exciting. I can only imagine being a kid and having this trailer pull up and getting to actually explore and experience and like you said, it's so important to really change that narrative. And it's problematic when young people think that their only option is a 4 year degree, when in reality, there's just so many options out there that don't require a 4 year degree. And Lori, you recently wrote an article that I read that was featured in the NCLA newsletter, and it talked about the collaboration between the Washington County Career Center, Adult Technical Training, and the Washington County Ohio Means Job Center, which is also referred to as OMJ. And in there, it mentions the WIOA grant. Can you talk more about this grant and how it's impacted students' access to education and training?
Well, the WIOA and anyone that's in my world or the Ohio Means Jobs world is going to know it as WIOA. But we understand as a prospective student when you're walking in, you're like, what's WIOA? That makes no sense to me. And what it stands for is the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. And it's designed to help job seekers be able to access employment, training, and support that they need. It's basically helping them overcome barriers to employment. With WIOA, in our area, CDL, commercial driver's license, a Class A CDL is one of the most in needed jobs that we have in the area. And what it'll do is it'll take this person and be like, we can help you pay for your training. If you meet the guidelines, we refer them to Ohio Means Jobs, and it's based on income, family circumstances, but it will help that student with the cost of training. And then maybe they're driving a long distance to get to school. You know, here in the Mid Ohio Valley, we're kind of rural, so it might be an hour drive. So it could also help provide a gas card to help pay for gas. It could provide, if they need steel-toed boots, it can provide steel-toed boots. Maybe their car breaks down right in the middle of school. It can help pay for vehicle repairs. So it's taking those barriers away that can help someone better themselves. And I tell everyone guidelines change from area to area. So if someone that might live in Washington County might have a different guideline than someone that lives in Columbus, Ohio, because of course, incomes are different in both of those areas. So we always say visit your local Ohio Means Jobs office to learn more, but they are there to help.
WIOA sounds so much better than spelling out the acronym. I love that. And that's so powerful, removing the barriers to entry. That's huge and really empowering people to pursue those new opportunities and also supporting the development of workforce. In the same article, you mentioned several events such as the Career Connect Job Fair and the Manufacturing in Action event, which sounds amazing. I want to attend them both. Can you share more about these events and their impact on students and the community?
Well, this was another partnership with Ohio Means Jobs. We know that once again, when we're talking about young people, that when I go into a classroom of fifth graders and I'm like, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, I want to be a veterinarian. I want to be a nurse. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. They only know about a handful of jobs. So, what us and Ohio Means Jobs did is we came together and said, how can we bring these young people, well, yes, we can take our trailer out, do interactive activities, we can also bring them into our school. And if you've been to a career center, all the career centers in Ohio are full of labs, and these labs have machinery and equipment and hands on things, whether it's medical or whether it's industrial or welding. It has all of these things where they can experience what that job would be like. So we partnered up, we went to our guidance counselors. Ohio Means Jobs helps some of our schools because even some of our schools are a little economically disadvantaged, and transportation costs can sometimes be a barrier for a school. So they can help a school with the cost of busing. We provide food, we provide lunches for them. Ohio Means Jobs comes in. They talk about all the things that they can do to help, just the things we were talking about, like, hey, we can help you pay for your training. If you've heard from a mom or a dad that we can't afford to send you to college, it's great to have Ohio Means Jobs there going, hey, let's take a look at this because I think there is a pathway that we could get you the training that you need to succeed later in life, and there's potential for you. So once again, it's about how to overcome barriers. And then another thing that we did that we thought was pretty unique, they're coming into our school. So, of course, we're talking about what we offer. We've got Ohio Means Jobs talking about how they can help. And then we bring in the employers. So, whether it's our local hospitals, our local manufacturings, we're very heavy in manufacturing and industry here in the Mid Ohio Valley. So, the employers come in and then they're able to interact one on one with the students and talk about the jobs, talk about benefits, things that these kids have never heard of. Talk about, hey, you come to work for me. There's going to be a 401k plan, a retirement. There's going to be, healthcare insurance. There's going to be all these things that might not be important to you now, but are going to be important later. They're going to talk about what your wages are going to start at. And they're going to talk about training. They're going to talk about the job environment. What's it like to come? The daily life of someone that's working in one of these jobs? So these events are critical. And we do one called Manufacturing in Action, and we do it every October. And we bring in students from all over Ohio. And normally I have about 400 students on campus. And then we do another one that's called Discover Healthcare Careers. And it's the same thing. We have all of our local hospitals and clinics and doctors' offices and assisted living homes all on campus telling students, I mean, it's almost like a job fair, but it's more interactive. And many of these employers, just like you mentioned earlier, they're offering the training. They're like, hey, come work for me. You can start as a nursing assistant in my facility and then stay with me for a year or 2 years. And if you want to go back and get your medical assistant, or you want to go back and become a phlebotomist or a nurse, we will pay for you to go back to school. These events have been tremendous in letting young people know what's available to them. Okay, and there's another organization here that's called Building Bridges to Careers. And they're a part of this as well. They're part of our partnership with our Ohio Means Jobs. And Building Bridges to Careers, what they do is they offer internships, but they also offer where students can actually go to a business and spend a day or two and really see if that's the right fit for you. And Building Bridges to Careers organizes all of this. And we do a training called a chemical operator, and sometimes having a seventh grader in one of our area industrial plants isn't a good idea for OSHA and for insurance purposes. So they'll send them here, and we have a facility that is a small plant on our campus. So they can pursue it, they can discover it, they can put their hands on it, learn about it. So once again, just another group that's in the collaboration to help these young people.
I can imagine that's a great way of eliminating some of the liability while still giving young people an opportunity to experience different careers. And Lori, you mentioned healthcare and manufacturing. So I want to ask you to share a little bit more about how the partnership between the Career Center and Ohio Means Jobs addresses the specific needs of local businesses such as these.
So with Ohio Means Jobs, there's two really pathways that they offer. And one is what we talked about, the WIOA. So with that WIOA grant, if someone is interested in changing careers and they are interested in becoming a CDL driver or a medical assistant, a surgical technologist, then they can use the WIOA grant that will help pay for that training to meet the demands of our local industry. Everything that we offer here at the Career Center is in demand careers. So there's no basket weaving. Everything is something that our businesses right here in the Mid Ohio Valley need. And then the next thing they offer is something called incumbent worker training. And honestly, this has been something we've been doing since day one. And our local Ohio Means Jobs office runs the Workforce Development Board, and they assist local businesses with the cost of upskilling their employees. And by upskilling, it could be, say, in a hospital, you have someone that you've hired on, maybe straight out of high school, and you've hired them into housekeeping. And if you've been to a hospital, you know housekeeping goes into the patient's room because they're changing the bed sheets, cleaning the bathrooms, scrubbing the floors. This person who's making pretty much a minimum wage is starting to look at other jobs in the hospital and they're like, you know what? I'd like to, become a nurse. I'd like to become a medical assistant. I'd like to learn how to do something different. It allows the business to invest in their own staff, and OMJ is providing help by paying for the training for that staff member. And it creates an environment in a workplace where employees feel valued. And probably the biggest thing for our area is when you upskill and you train employees with a new skill to move them to the next level, it decreases turnover. And by using this incumbent worker training, I can give a couple of examples. We have worked with our local hospital, which is our largest employer in our county, and we've created training that would train them to become medical assistants. What's so cool about this career field is they have training to be able to do office work, to do patient work, to take blood, to do vitals. They can do some billing. So Memorial is taking employees, turning them into medical assistants, and then they're able to put them all over the county in their doctor's offices and clinics. So that's one example. We have another one, and it's called Platinum Recovery Systems, and it was probably one of our first success stories. They came and they did upskilling of all of their employees to teach them more about medical billing, more about coding, so they could advance their own staff and then to start to hire on new staff. And they have doubled in size since we began our training efforts with them.
Lori, this is so important that what you're doing is providing the individuals who enroll in your programs with viable jobs. It's not a matter of someone going, spending all this money to get a degree or a certification only to find that there's no jobs available. Anyone who goes in is going to know that, hey, there's going to be a job waiting for me because this is such an in demand needed area. And Lori, you mentioned earlier that career and technical education training can be a viable alternative to traditional 4-year college degrees. Can you talk more about this?
I'd love to talk more about this. We need people that have college degrees. We need those career fields. But we want them to know that they have an alternative to college. And we want them to know that when they come to a school like ours, to a career center, a technical training center, that, they leave school with no student loan debt. And that's huge in today's market. And it gives them a pathway to begin their careers totally debt free. I mean, I just can't imagine because when you leave college, you have to worry about, hey, when am I going to start paying back my loans? There's nothing like that at a career center. We do not do loans. We talk with our students about all the different things that we offer, whether it's scholarships, whether it's grant, whether it's the FAFSA, whether it's sending them to Ohio Meets Jobs to see how that they can help, but all those things to make sure that they are debt free. And then we want them to know you complete your training in a short period of time. This isn't 2 years. This isn't 4 years. Everything is 12 months or less. Our shortest program is 40 hours. Am I saying that you're going to take a 40-hour program and then start a job paying $30 an hour? No. You're going to be like everybody else and start at the bottom and work your way up. But when we do these short trainings, it allows our students to work and go to school. And so we find that most of our students do. We probably have 85% of our students all work and go to school. And a large majority of them are also parents. So they are also juggling a family along with that. No matter what area you live in, your career center is providing training for something that if you have the skills and the knowledge and you have the ability and you want to, you're going to get a job. And they provide a living wage for the area that you live in. So some of our highest paying jobs here in the Mid Ohio Valley are in our local plants. And we are fortunate that we are on the Ohio River and it is lined with plants. And these are highly skilled, but do not require a 4-year degree. They all full-time employment. They provide benefits and they allow you to have a good work home life. They're keeping our residents right here. They're making sure that our young people aren't moving away. And I think that's really important. I just think that young people should know that they have choices.
I can imagine with this many opportunities available to the folks who enroll in your programs that there are tons of examples of how this has changed people's lives and just had such a positive impact. Can you share a success story of a student or professional who has benefited from the programs or one of your programs offered through this partnership?
Wow, there's just so many to talk about. One that I love is we had a young lady and she enrolled in our welding program. And as most people know, welding for a female would be a non traditional. So that's always exciting. We like when there's a non traditional, someone that you wouldn't entirely expect to be in that program. And she took it and she found out that she had a passion for welding. She earned every American Welding Society certification that she could get her hands on. And she was in before class and after class honing her skills. And it gave her the confidence to go out and to get a job as a welder. But then she was contributing to society. And then she said, you know what? I think I could start my own business. And she started her own welding business. She has a welding design business. And then after about 3 years of running her own business, she applied for a job at another career center here in Ohio, and she is now the program manager of their welding program. And now she's giving back herself. We're just beyond proud of her. Another story is a medical assistant. We talked about medical assistants and how much they contribute to healthcare and the need that we have in our area for them. So we had a medical assistant that began with us, and her financial circumstances changed midway through her training. And she was going to have to drop out. She was like, I can't afford this anymore. I'm not qualified for FAFSA and I don't have enough money to pay for it. So we worked with her and then we brought our Ohio Means Jobs in and they assisted her with the remainder of her training to help her. And she's now a medical assistant at Memorial Health System, once again, our largest employer here in the Mid Ohio Valley. It's another great one. I love telling stories. So this one was we had a female that was a drug addict at one time and she had had her children taken away and she shared her story. We've written up her story. She goes around and talks about her story. And she came in and she had made a commitment to changing her life around. She was going through rehabilitation and we showed her our HVAC program, which HVAC is heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and then refrigeration. And it's another one that's highly in demand here in the Mid Ohio Valley. And she came to school, took that HVAC program. She was here every day. She was actually pregnant during it. we set up a nursing room for her so she could, take care of business, take care of that baby. And those are the ways that we go out of our way just to make sure that we're doing everything we can for our student. And she's successful now and she's out talking all the time and telling people about career and tech training and how it's changed her life.
That is amazing, and I also love how you, have worked in each of these scenarios to really meet the individual needs of each person to really make this work for them, and now they're contributing to society in a meaningful way, making an impact. Wow, that is powerful. Lori, what role does technologies such as virtual reality goggles, which were mentioned in the article, play in your training programs and career exploration events? And how do these tools really enhance learning and prepare adult learners for the workforce?
Ohio Means Jobs had a grant to be able to purchase the virtual reality goggles, and it was all of our surrounding counties. And so, of course, we were like, "Can you bring them to our school? We want them at events because there's some things that we train for that you might not necessarily to get your hands on. And if it's welding, we can put you in a welder, but we might not be able to spend the time that you need. So, with the virtual reality goggles, they can actually sit down and weld something. Virtual reality goggles also now include healthcare. We have a program called Surgical Technologists. They can put the goggles on and then participate in a actual surgery. So they can see what they would be doing. They would be handing tools. They would be helping, stitch up a patient. So they get to actively do that or something that they might not be able to do if they visit our school or even if they visit a workplace. Because something like surgical technologist, you're not going to let anyone into your OR because it's a sterile area. And so the virtual reality goggles allows them, and especially for young people because they're so connected to technology, they can see how much fun reality truly is. And I give credit to our Ohio Means Jobs for bringing these to all of our schools and all of our surrounding counties.
I'm sure there's so many benefits that come from having this opportunity to learn through VR. Which brings us to the future. Looking ahead, what are your goals for expanding or enhancing this partnership to further support workforce development in Ohio?
Something we're doing next week is our adult technical training is holding a lunch and learn, and our local Ohio Means Jobs will be there. Lieutenant Governor Husted's office will be there talking about tech cred. Ohio State University Manufacturing Extension Partnership will be there talking about how they can help businesses grow by providing training, by providing helping with the cost of training. We have a group here in Ohio called Ohio Southeast that is building our businesses, our manufacturing base. They're going to be there. We've invited businesses to come to it and learn about all the opportunities that are available to them and how easy it is to apply for it. Because sometimes the business gets overwhelmed. And so we're bringing everyone into one room, having a luncheon, and saying, this is what's available to you right here in Southeastern Ohio. So that's our next step.
Well, thank you so much, Lori, for sharing your insights and experiences with us today. These are such incredible opportunities. And for our listeners who want to learn more about the Washington County Ohio Means Job Center, whether it's as a potential student or maybe a parent or a family member who thinks this is a good opportunity for someone else, or even business and industry who want to hire your students and your graduates, how can they best reach you or someone in your organization?
So if you'd like to know more about the Washington County Career Center, give us a call 740-373-6283. Reach out to me. You can find us on our website at thecareercenter.net.
Oh, and thank you so much, Lori. And for the folks who are listening in, be sure to expand upon the details of the podcast, and you'll be able to find more information about the work that's happening in this partnership, but then also information about Ohio Technical Centers and OACTS and their website information. And until next time, I'm Rachel Mann, and this has been the OTCs Podcast